Hey, what's going on, guys? Venom coming at you with another video. Today I'm going to be showing you all a couple builds for 2-bar Arcanist setup for in-game content. I'm going to take a look first at our character sheet. I'll show another picture here in a minute, what it looks like when it's buffed up. Just base, we got over 30,000 max magicka, over 22,000 health, 13,000 stam, mag recovery 1611, 2304 health recovery, stamina recovery is 555. We got over 5,000 spell damage, spell crits 46.1, penetrations over 10,000, spell and physical resistances is 15,000 and 12,000. We got 64 points all into magicka underneath the attributes. We are running the Atronach Mundus Stone. This is going to give you 507 Magicka recovery. For our food, we're running Clockwork Citrus Filet. This is going to give max health, max Magicka, health recovery, and Magicka recovery. If you don't want to run Clockwork Citrus Filet, you can run Potent Witch Mother's Brew. It's kind of a cheaper version of this, but it just won't give you the health recovery. Alright, let's take a look next at our champion tree. For the blue tree, we have Mastered Arms. It's going to increase your damage done with direct damage attacks by total 6%. Biting Aura is going to increase your damage done with area of effect attacks by total 6%. Reaving Blows. When you deal direct damage, you heal for 7% of the damage done. Wrathful Strikes is going to give 205 weapon and spell damage. For the red tree, we have Strategic Reserve. It's going to give you 30 health recovery for every 10 ultimate you have. Siphoning Spells is going to give 1500 magicka every time you kill an enemy. Fortified, 1731 armor. Balanced Vitality, 1400 health. And the green tree, if you like it, we got Master Gatherer, Gifted Rider, Steed's Blessing, and Sustaining Shadows. Let's take a look next at our gear sets. And this is no trials gear required. This is just an easy build. You can go straight in, run any content you want. The damage is very, very good. Again, this build setup is for in-game content. If you want to parse, obviously you can change out some of the light armor pieces and go medium. For the 21 mil, you're going to get more damage on it because it's going to be providing you the penetration. If you're going into solo, if you're going into 4-player content, you may not be getting the penetration provided in those groups. Depends on what your tank is running. But this is what I like to run when I'm in 4-man content primarily. We have Deadly, Light and Staff, Precise Trait, Shock Damage Glyph. The 2-piece gives weapon and spell damage, 3-piece critical chance, 4-piece weapon and spell damage, and the 5-piece increase the damage done for your damage over time in channeled attacks by 15%. The back bar is a Maelstrom Perfected Lightning Staff. Infused Trait, Power Glyph is going to give another 452 weapon and spell damage. With an infused trait, it procs every 5 seconds. Through our skill, it's going to last 15 seconds. It'll reproc 3 times, so this is going to stay up pretty much all the time. The head is a 1-piece medium slime crawl. Everything is all divines on the gear with max magic enchantments. The 1-piece slime crawl is going to give another 657 critical chance. The chest, we have a heavy Tideborn. This is a craftable set. The 2-piece gives weapon and spell damage, 3-piece critical chance, 4-piece 1487 offensive penetration. The 5-piece increase your direct damage done to monsters by 12%. The shoulder is a light Tideborn. The waist is light Tideborn. Hands, light Tideborn. The legs are medium Deadly. And the feet is light Tideborn. For our necklace, we're running the Mythic Velothi Mage Amulet. Everything is Bloodthirsty trait on the jewelry with weapon and spell damage enchantments. This is going to give 1650 offensive penetration and increase your damage done to monsters 15%. And you gain minor force at all times, increasing your critical damage done 10%. This will reduce the damage of your light heavy attack damage by 99%. You still want to throw your light attack on your front bar so that it procs your glyph. The glyph will deal damage, but the light attack obviously won't deal much. For your other 2 rings, we have Deadly, same for both. Alright, let's take a look at our subclass and what we got set up here. I have Herald of the Tome from the Arcanist, Adric Spear from the Templar, and Assassination from the Nightblade. On our front bar, we have Radiant Ward, Pragmatic Fate Carver, Escalating Rune Blades. This is a scribable skill called Magical Banner. Healing Soul, which is also a scribable skill, and Soul Harvest. On the back bar, we have Relentless Focus, Blockade of Storms, Inspired Scholarship. You have to double bar Magical Banner if you're running this. And we have Luminous Shards and the Tide King's Gaze for our ultimate. So let's take a look more in depth at these skills. We'll start first here with the Templar, what the Radiant Ward does, and why you want to have these on both your bars. The Radiant Ward is going to surround yourself with solar rays. It deals magic damage to nearby enemies and applies Modern Main to them for 10 seconds to reduce their damage down 5%. So whenever you proc your ward, if you need another ward, you're basically, you'll have 2 wards on this setup. It's very, very survivable. My builds, what I'm trying to show you guys, is for in-game content. Again, this is for survivability, sustainability, DPS, and playability. You got to make sure that it's not a clunky build that you're running. So this right here will also give you a shield, as I was saying, for over 7,000, lasts 20 seconds. It'll increase by 20% for each enemy hit up to 120%. It scales off of your max health. The other skill on our back bar is Luminous Shards. This is going to send a shard into the heavens. It comes down. It'll deal magic damage to all the enemies in the area. It deals magic damage every 1 second over 10 seconds. You or an ally, you can grab your own synergy on this setup. And for our second build that I'm going to show you in a minute, this is also really cool, being able to grab your own synergy. So you and an ally can grab your own synergy with the Holy Shards. It'll restore magicka and stamina. So the passives for the Templar, with an Adric Spear ability slotted, and I have this on both bars, one front and back bar, this is going to increase your critical damage done by 12%. If for some reason you're ever out in PvP and you're playing against a blocking player and you're running the Templar subclassing, this will also deal 12% more damage to blocking players. The Spear Wallace is going to give you Minor Berserk, Minor Protection, 6 seconds, increasing damage done, reducing your damage done by 5, or taken by 5%. Burning Light, when you deal damage, you're going to generate a stack of Burning Light over 3 seconds. After reaching 4 stacks, you deal magic damage to the target. Can occur every half second and scales off the higher of your weapon and spell damage. And then Balanced Warrior is going to increase your weapon and spell damage and armor by 6%. So that is our 2 skills that we're running from the Templar Adric Spear subclass. We got one on the front and the back bar. Our other skills, we'll start here in Assassination. We got this on the front and the back bar as well. We have the Soul Harvest Ultimate. This works from either bar that you're on. This is going to generate ultimate anytime you kill an enemy. It's going to give you 10. Ravage, you can Ravage. If you want to use this, I don't use this ultimate per se. I will use Tide King's Gaze. I'm just using it to generate ultimate. But if you have something that is close to dying and you don't have a full ultimate for this back bar, you can run this on the front bar and just, proc it for some extra damage. So on the back bar, we have Relentless Focus. While slotted on either bar, your light and heavy attacks will generate a stack of Relentless Focus. It'll increase your weapon and spell damage by 40. It'll stack up to 10 times. Fully charged heavy attacks grant 2 stacks. When at 5 stacks or more, you can consume the 5 stacks and you can fire a Spectral Arrow. You'll deal over 19,000 disease damage and you'll heal for 34% of the damage dealt if you're in melee range. I personally don't really run this skill as a castable skill. I'm just running it passively on the back bar to benefit from the extra weapon and spell damage. The passives here is going to increase your critical chance against enemies you're flanking by 1448. It'll increase your chance to critically strike by 6.6%. Whenever an enemy dies within 2 seconds of being damaged, you're going to get 1,000 magicka and stamina. This is going to increase your critical chance by 548 for each assassination ability slotted. We got 548 front and back bar extra. This is going to increase your critical damage done by 10%. Dealing critical damage grants you and your group minor savagery, increasing your weapon and critical rating by 13-14 for 20 seconds. Alright, and for the Herald of the Tome, we have the Escalating Rune Blades. You can swap this out if you like. If you want to run Cephalarch's Flail, feel free to do so. I am set up on this build as a Magicka build, so that all the resources that I'm throwing out is Magicka, and all the resources that I'm getting back, I've got it stacked into Magicka. When I was running, whenever you're running the Magical Banner, which we'll talk about here in a minute, that's going to constantly be ticking on your guy, and it's going to be pulling from your stamina, your Magicka and stuff as well. I just found it in really harder content that if you're having to roll dodge or sprint and you're running the banner and it's just pulling yourself down and you're trying to play the game between the Magicka and the stamina, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's why I decided to go with the Rune Blades over Cephalarch's Flail. It's slightly less damage, but it ain't that much less damage. And you can have it at a further range, which is 22 meters versus 15 meters. And it's going to cost Magicka instead of stamina. But anyway, Escalating Rune Blades will deal magic damage 3 times. It deals more on the 3rd hit. It does it to all enemies in the area on the 3rd hit. The ability also deals 3% increased damage for each active crux when cast. If you want to run the Flail, like I said, it's up to you. This will deal damage, physical damage, and generate a crux. Both of these will generate crux. And enemies are immobilized for 3 seconds and marked with abyssal ink. If an enemy is hit, you heal for a little bit of health once per cast, and you deal 5% more damage to enemies in the ink. On the back bar, we have the Inspired Scholarship. We'll just kind of go over there to buff up. You're going to etch a series of runes into your weapon, the Pulse with Power. Each pulse is going to give your class abilities more magic damage, and it's going to generate crux if you have done. While slotted on either bar, you're going to gain Major Brutality and Major Sorcery, increasing your weapon and spell damage by 20%. This passives here is going to increase your critical damage and critical healing 12% for 7 seconds. This is whenever you restore magic or stamina, you're going to increase your weapon and spell damage by 284 for 10 seconds. This is going to increase your damage dealt by status effects by 15% and status effect chance by 55%. And this is going to increase your physical and spell penetration by a total of 2,480. The other skills on the back bar, I have Blockade of Frost. This comes from the Destruction Staff skill line. This is whenever you slam down your staff, it's going to last 15 seconds. So I was saying earlier, if you have this back barred with an infused staff, that's going to proc your power glyph 3 times. It's going to help you keep that extra damage up. We have the Magical Banner. Again, this is a scribable skill. The way I have this one set up, this is going to increase your magic damage done by 6%. It's going to generate a crux, kind of reapply itself once every 5 seconds. And then I have Major Savagery and Prophecy. This is going to increase your weapon and spell critical ratings by 2,629. Tide King's Gaze. This is going to deal damage for 8 seconds. Magic damage to enemies within 5 meters every 0.5 second. It's really one of the better ultimates to choose, and if something likes to move around, this ultimate will just follow them and keep dealing damage. You really can't run out of it. That's pretty fun. For your stuff, just make sure that you grab your passives, grab your stuff for your Destruction Staff. We're running a mixture of light, medium, and heavy. Just grab your passives for your armor as well. Undaunted down here if you can. I am a high elf on this build. Most Magicka builds I am a high elf on, but whatever race you want to choose, it'll be just fine. Again, just make sure that you grab your passes for this. To me, I feel like for a Magicka character, that the high elf is just the best overall choice. He's going to deal the most overall damage, and he's very, very good at getting resources and stuff back as well. Okay, so for this other build I wanted to show you, I just find this build really fun to play. and it's also incredibly good at resource management. If you're ever in really hard content, you still have a ton of damage on this build. It may be a little bit less than the other build, but it's still very good, but it's much better at resource management. So I want to show you this. This is Deadly Front Bar, Precise Straight, Shock Damage Glyph. We already went over everything it does. On the back bar, we're running Moon Dancer. This drops in the Trial Maul of Blockade, Infused Straight, Weapon and Spell Damage Glyph. The 2-piece gives Max Magicka, 3-piece Minor Slayer at all times, increasing your damage done to Dungeon Trial and Arena Monsters 5%. 4-piece gives 129 weapon and spell damage, and the 5-piece, when you activate a synergy while in combat, you gain Shadow Blessing that increases your weapon and spell damage by 474, or a Lunar Blessing that increases your Magicka recovery by 474 for 20 seconds. You only have one of these at a time. So the way that I'm running this on the back bar, whenever you throw your Luminous Shard and you can grab your own synergy, you can proc your own set. You're not dependent on one of your teammates to throw you out a synergy to grab. You can do this yourself. So if you ever get low on resources, you can go to your back bar, throw your shard. It's going to give you back immediate resources from the shard, and it's going to trigger the set if you want the extra recovery, or you can just grab another, one of your own synergies, and you can buff up and get more weapon spell damage. So I just balance between the two, and it's a lot of fun to play. It's way more better as far as helping you with resources and harder content. So this is a little bit different setup. We have a monster set on this. This is Narana. This drops in Crypt of Heart. This is going to give weapon and spell damage, and when you deal direct damage, you have a 15% chance to summon a Lich Crystal that explodes after 2 seconds, dealing magic damage to all enemies within 4 meters. This can occur once every 3 seconds and scales off the higher of your weapon spell damage. That is a very fast cooldown to get this to come right back up. Basically, it's going off basically every 3 seconds. Your beam lasts 4 seconds for the Arcanist, so I mean it can technically proc twice within just one beam. Pretty fun build. For the chest, we have Icarus of the Trainee, Heavy. This, we're just using it for the 1-piece to get an extra 1454 max health. Naranath for the shoulders, the waist, Moon Dancer, hands, Moon Dancer, legs, Deadly, and feet, Moon Dancer. Below the Mermaids for the necklace, Deadly for a ring, and another ring. So again, all you got to do, if you're running this, you just go to your back bar while in combat, and then you would grab your Holy Shard on the back bar, and that will proc your set. So again, guys, these builds here that I'm showing you, these are builds that I've been running through in content and trying out. If you want to run something similar to this, if you want to swap out an armor set, feel free to do so. I think Deadly is just one of the kind of base sets for an Arcanist build that's good for about any content you want to run, whether it's a trial or whether it's 4-man or whatever. Deadly should pretty much be part of your build for an Arcanist. But there's a whole bunch of different builds and different ways you can set your guy up depending on the content that you're wanting to run. But if you're trying to parse, again, you want to move off of light armor, go over to medium armor, it's going to give you higher numbers. If you're in a trial and they're providing you penetration, you want to run medium armor on your guy. But if you're in like 4-player content, or if you're running through solo, you're not going to be getting that penetration. So I like to have light armor or run a mixture of it. Something I wanted to mention too on this is kind of important. A lot of people you'll see running around on a stamina build, and they got their daggers and they got to get really close to do their extra damage. That's cool and all. I see a lot of people die too trying to run that. It's harder to run a stamina build. You can run this Arcanist build with a lightning staff, and it does really good. Let's take a look real quick at the destruction staff. Come down here and look at this stuff right here. Lightning Staves. Increase your damage done with direct damaged and channeled effects by 12%. So the Lightning Staff does a really good job for an Arcanist build, and you don't have to be point blank to get yourself, the damage. You can just throw your light attack, at a distance, proc your stuff, and then into your beam. You can throw out your escalating rune blades. You don't have to be super close to your target, and put yourself in harm's way. I just find it a lot easier to run a magic build setup, or it's more fun to me to run it. But if you want to run daggers, you want to be closer to your targets, feel free to do so. Just expect that you're going to be doing a lot more roll dodging and trying to avoid stuff for a little bit. Anyway, guys, I hope y'all enjoy the video. If you do, please drop me a like and a subscribe, and I'll try to get back to y'all with some more stuff. Have a good one.